Hey guys, so I thought I would take advantage of the whopper that I have on my cheek at the moment and do a wee video on how I spot conceal. So if you're anything like me, you try your hardest to ignore spots when they come up, and I really try, especially as my skin has improved over the last couple of years. If I do get one whopper out of the blue, I just try to pretend like it's not there, but it's really hard. And then I do my best until one day I just can't I just can't take it anymore. So that doesn't always happen. It's usually if it's just one that comes to a big yucky horrible gross whitehead that I just can't bear to leave on my face, or B, I'm really stressed, and when I'm really stressed I'll pick anything that I can get my hands on. So that's what happened to me. I got a spot that came up on my cheek. It wasn't even the worst. It was there for about 2 days, and then on day 3 it just came to this big white head, which is so disgusting, but I just had to get rid of it. So I mean, I'm always very careful. I'll always use either like latex gloves or tissue if I do give it a bit of a squish and then I try not to squeeze the crap out of it. I'll try to just pressurize around it, but you know, there's sometimes you just need a little bit more pressure than other times, and when that happens, sometimes it can just leave a really big red mark. So, you know, try not to squeeze them if you can, but this happens. So I just wanted to show you what to do if you are left with a big red mark on your face and you want to conceal it, because if, like me, you have decent skin on the rest of your face, you don't want to cover up everything, because that just, you know, it defeats the purpose. You want your skin to look good. It's just this one little nasty yolk that's causing the havoc. So what I would suggest doing is using a light to medium foundation. Don't use anything too heavy. This is medium coverage. It's L'Oreal True Match foundation, and this is lovely for a medium coverage. So it does cover and even out skin tone, but I can still see hints of my freckles and stuff coming through. I can point out so many of my freckles. That's what I like when you are using foundation. I don't really like it to cover everything, because that, you know, it's not needed for that. For the redness, you want to eradicate that before you conceal it, because often if I'm in a hurry I'll just put on normal concealer, but you'll still see the darkness coming through because you haven't colour corrected. So using a green lad like this, and this is one of the Coastal Scents quads, will work really good. So green is opposite to red on the colour wheel, so that will totally cancel it out once it's laid on top of it. That's what complementary colours do. But yellow will work as well. So red is a really warm colour. Green is its complementary because it's totally opposite on the colour wheel, so it's a very cool colour. So using yellow will also work very well, because yellow, as long as it's cool yellow, because yellow tends to be neutral, but if you go for a cool yellow, that'll work to counteract the redness as well. So there's plenty of these kind of guys available. This is the Pro Concealer Palette, loads of brands do this. So you often get them in little quads like this, or you can get them singularly. And then next I use my concealer, and I like to use a slightly thicker concealer. So this is my Camouflage Concealer by Catrice. I'd also recommend Vichy Derma Blend or the Kryolan Derma Colour. That's brilliant as well. So basically you need to start off with a nice clean face and apply your medium coverage foundation. So like I said, don't overdo it with the foundation. You want the rest of your skin to show through, and just pop that all over. And then once your foundation is on the skin, it's time to use your corrector. So that's when you go in with your green corrector, and I like to use a brush that's relevant to the size of the blemish. So something like this is what I used mainly for this guy here on my cheek, and it is the Everyday Minerals. It's like I don't have a name for it. It's just like one of those little kind of kabuki mini brushes. There's a few other brands that would work as well. Something like this from Real Techniques, which is their detailer brush, or their accent brush. Any of them would work really well, and they also work better when they're synthetic as well, because it's a cream product we're using. So just pick up some of the green or the yellow concealer, whichever you're using, and then lay it exactly on where the red is. You can go over it a tiny bit, but not much past. It's really just the red part that you're concentrating it on, and then just extend it by maybe a millimetre or two past the actual redness. And then you need to let this sit on the skin. So you always dab these on in place as well, never rub, because rub won't ever get you the right coverage that you're after. So pat these in place, leave it to settle on the skin for about 30 seconds or so. This just helps it just settle on the skin. So when you go in with your next layer, then it's not just going to pick up the underneath layer when you're dabbing it in place. So once you have that on the skin for about 30 seconds, just blend around the edges to make sure that it's not just a big blob of like green or whatever colour you've put on, so that it just blends into the skin around it. And you'll see there that it has totally knocked out the redness, but you'll still see that, you know, now it kind of looks like this really light green colour. Now you need to conceal over that to match it to the rest of the colour on your face. So now you go in with your camouflage concealer, and this one matches my skin colour perfectly, or at least when my foundation is on. So then I pick up some of the concealer, and I like to warm this on the back of my hand just so that when I go to bounce it on the skin, it's lovely and soft and malleable. It's not going to pick up anything underneath, and it doesn't need to be worked into the skin loads, because sometimes these concealers, if they're a bit cold, they need to be worked into the skin. So it's better to do that on the back of your hand first and then pop it in place. Then once that's on, again leave it settle on the skin for about 30 seconds. Blend around the edge of that once it's on, so that you're not disturbing the part that you concealed, and you're just blending it in with the rest of your face. So you can either use a finger or a brush for this, whichever suits. And then again, I always leave it for another 30 seconds or so, and once that is kind of set on the skin, I will go in with my powder. Now it's really important to use a powder that's very finely milled, that won't look caked, and again that won't add colour. So it's going to either be translucent or colourless, or one that matches your skin colour exactly. And then just pat that in place. First I like to pack a good bit of powder directly onto the spots that I've concealed, and then once that's on, I'll go ahead and set the rest of my face. And then that's your face pretty much concealed. So it should look nice and even, and like you've no spots at all. So just to finish off, I avoid putting blusher on my cheeks if I do have spots on my cheeks. That's where I tend to get my spots. It's related to the stomach, and I do have stomach problems. So I just avoid blusher, because first of all, you don't want to risk wiping away what you've just concealed. So what I've done is I've contoured very lightly up around the ear and the temple, not bring it down onto where the spot is, so that my face isn't too flat looking. And then I've put on a nice bright punchy lip. So this takes the attention away from my skin and onto my lips, and then people, you know, won't be focusing on it, even if there is a tiny bit of anything showing through. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks a million for watching, and I'll chat to you all really soon. Slán.